all, and welcome to Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. I'm your host, Cyndy Diaz, and first and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting me on this Benevolence podcast. I pray that as you tune in every week, you are empowered, blessed, and encouraged to be the best version of yourself. You are tuning into episode 3, Eat to Live, healthy habits to enrich and motivate you to live your best life. On this episode of Benevolence, we will be discussing something that I feel is extremely important to all of us. We will be discussing the importance of your health, lifestyle changes, dieting, exercising, and everything else in between. This episode are for those listeners that want to start and don't know how to. It's for those that have been on every diet you can think of and still see no results. These are for those that need to make some changes and need some inspiration. So, to carry on this conversation, I have a very special woman of God who I have not only known, practically, to be honest, I think I've known her the entire amount of years that I've been here in Orlando. So it's like 14 years. It's kind of crazy. But she's also a nutrition and lifestyle fitness expert. She is an incredible individual who knows how to light up any room she walks into. We've worked together in so many different ministries in the past, and it's honestly a pleasure having her featured on this episode. So without further ado, I have Cyndy Mondelus-Azevedo joining me at the table today. Hey girl.
Hey girl, how you doing?
Cyndy, thank you so much for joining me at the table. It's
Ceci, thank you so much for inviting me to the table.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Yes. To be honest, I've been doing my research for podcasts and different topics and things, and asking also our listeners, what is it that they want to hear about, and I've noticed that the common trend is health, lifestyle, dieting. We log into Facebook, we log into Instagram, and immediately you see all of these different companies offering you so many things, and it can get overwhelming. I've personally have gone through a crazy, you could say, let's call it dieting, because we haven't been responsible with our lifestyle changes. But I can tell you, I've been through every single diet you can think of. I have done the Herbalife. I have done the Slim Fast. I have done the garbanzo with the quinoa and the beans type thing. Okay. I've done starvation. I've done the shakes, different. I don't know what that thing is called. But it's like Shakeology.
Okay.
Yes, I've done it all. And I'm not gonna lie, there have been results, but they're not long lasting. They only work for the moment, and then immediately when I'm back on my grind, doing what I love to do, which is eat, I gain it all back and more. And that has been something very common in Anthony and I, and as you can see in our pictures, we are thick.
Lovely and thick.
Yes. So I wanted to bring someone who is an expert, who knows about all of this, and I think that this will be very beneficial to our listeners. The demographics of our listeners are from high school all the way up to college, mothers, fathers, they're married, whatever the case may be, and I think that this is going to help them, and also it's going to help Anthony and I, because we want to, but it's that first, we don't even know where to start. And I think for us is always the food. It's never the exercise. We know how to exercise. We know to do the 30 minutes outside and walk. We know the water, the basic things. But I think is when it comes to the food is where it gets a little scary. So, first I want to thank you.
Thank you once again.
And don't be shy, girl. Be yourself, because be the Cyndy that I know off the microphone.
All right.
I don't know if you guys are listening to this. She looks so conservative.
Because, well, just to give you a little background about who I am, my name is Cyndy Mondelus-Azevedo, and I have my master's in international and community nutrition and my bachelor's in human nutrition, food, and exercises from the great University of Virginia Tech.
Yes.
And food is my life. To be honest, growing up, my mother has always instilled in us to eat healthy, how she cooked for us, and just Haitian mothers, they just like to cook. And my food is good. My food is healthy. Always emphasizing on eating healthy and eating at home. And, so that pretty much pushed me into the world of nutrition because my mom talked about it so much at the house. I currently work with the nutrition program, Women, Infant, and Children Nutrition Supplement Program, or WIC. And every day I get to speak with heads of households, usually moms, about nutrition and things that they can do to improve, just little things they can do to improve the nutrition status of their households. Yeah. One thing I do realize is that nutrition is very personal. Health in itself is very personal.
Yeah, for sure.
And you don't want to hear that you're doing something wrong when it comes to health.
Oh, yes.
You want to get the checks and the stars all the time. You don't want to hear that you're doing something wrong.
Yes.
And my whole motivation is to educate.
Yeah.
I will share knowledge, understanding, research, but it comes down to whether you want to make the change or not.
Exactly.
That's all I can do is point you in the right direction, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, well, you at least know the information. And the information that I usually bring is scientifically researched. It's not anything heard from someone or what we call quackery. Yeah. People who are just out to sway the public so that they can make money and profit off of their emotional habits. So that's what I'm here to do, is just to educate. I don't like trying to make a buck out of anything. I just want to see people live their best life.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really good, Cyndy. And I'm glad that you mentioned that everyone wants to see the checks and the stars. And I'm going to be mad real with you because you, like, for those of us that are listening to the podcast and you follow us you follow me and my family on Instagram, you know that, Anthony and I were more of a heavyset type couple. And then we have our daughter who is 4 years old. And I have always, in like the last 4 years of her life, I've always seemed to battle with her weight. But it's like, I take it personally. I do not like when the doctor tells me that she is over the 100 percentile, and I'm like and then it irks the nerve in my soul when a doctor tells me or asks me, like, what is she eating? Make sure that no rice, no, for real, no rice, no juice. I can see where that, fine. No eggs, like no dairy whatsoever. The milk has to be almond milk. It cannot be like regular cow milk. And like, I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, first of all, doctor, I know that you are an expert, but like, don't tell me what to do with my daughter. Like, that's how we are. Yeah. We get mad, like resistant, and we defensive
and protective.
Yes. Yeah. And then I'm talking to Anthony. I'm like, doesn't she see my size? Like, doesn't she see that her dad is 6'3"? Doesn't the doctor see that I'm 5'6"? And we are not petite people. She is over her percentile because genetically, she is. Yeah. She is almost 4 feet, and she is 4 years old. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm glad you mentioned that, because sometimes I feel like I'm the only one going through it. So if you're a parent out there and you got a child that is like, over the percentile, you're not alone. I'm going through it too, and it sucks sometimes. And then you're trying to limit the foods, but you feel so bad. It's like, where do you even start?
And See, that's the one thing that when parents come to my office, I don't want them to feel like they're being under attack. Mm-hmm. And definitely don't want to make them feel like they are failing, that they're doing something wrong.
Yes.
You know, and I've had so many times, especially I love my Caribbean moms. I love my Caribbean moms. The baby comes in and yes, baby is overweight or not, and I'm not meaning like baby, I'm talking about like 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
And mother will say, but my baby's sexy. I'm like, really? I wouldn't necessarily label a child sexy, but
wow.
Okay. But that's their way of saying, no, she looks healthy. And social, cultural norms, especially if you come from a country that is underdeveloped or have you, being thick means you're healthy.
Exactly.
You have money. You're eating. And so those are just certain things that people don't take in considerations, especially a lot of these doctors who are Western, and they don't realize the cultural impact.
Oh,
that
she is Western. I'm sorry, guys. If you're listening out there, I apologize. But what I'm trying to say is
very Western.
Yes.
Yeah, so you don't take that cultural, aspect that does influence health. And so my approach definitely involves cultural sensitivity. And then on top of that, if I see mom and dad, for example, I'm just going to throw something out there. We'll do an analysis and the chart says the child is at risk of short stature. Okay, that may be, it's like a flag. But if I see mom is 5'1" and dad is 5'1.5", I can't expect the child to be any taller than 5'1".
For sure.
If they turn out to be a Jeremy Lin, great, who's taller than his mom and dad. But, you know what I'm saying? So it's not taking into those factors that let's look at parent, mom and dad history. Let's look into all these other things that impact health and outcome. And so I really try my best to be as holistic as possible.
That's good.
Because I think when you think of it holistically, then you don't use the word limitations because that's what a lot of people don't want to feel like they're limited.
Yeah.
You really turn it into options.
Okay.
So that's not an option for you, but let's try this option.
Exactly.
So it's all about changing the wording so that something positive can come through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad. You kind of gave me some therapy today, Cyndy. I appreciate it because she has a doctor's appointment in like 2 weeks. And I'm already on my defense, ready, because she has a checkup and it's a physical. And, I'm like...
No parent wants to hear
that, they're I don't know.
Basically, you're saying my child's unhealthy.
Exactly. Yeah. I ain't saying who her name is, but she will subliminally say, some mean things, and I'm already like, I can't deal with it. But that's a whole nother podcast, and we will get to parenting another time. So let's stick to health, because we can be here forever talking about it.
Years. Yeah, it seems like, right?
So I wanted to discuss with you, Cyndy, the common misconceptions of dieting and exercise. And mostly,
let's hear it.
Mostly dieting because, everybody's trying to lose weight. Everybody's trying to live that healthy lifestyle.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, we're in March.
Everywhere.
We're like 3 months away from summer. People are trying to pump it out, whatever. I'm that meme that like, it's Winnie the Pooh in front of the
mirror, I think.
In front of the mirror. And it's like a little meme that says like, oh, it's March, like, or it was February, it's too late. Like something like that. Like, I guess I'm going to be fluffy in the summertime. That's how I feel right now, but whatever. So before we get into like, what's the right thing to do? What is a diet? General diets and all of that. I want to discuss with you some 7 common misconceptions of dieting and exercise. And I think the first one that's the top notch is starvation. That skipping meals makes you lose weight faster or more like quicker. So what can you say about that first misconception?
Well, first of all, I want to make sure that everybody understands that I am giving information that is research-based, and it is for you to make a decision whether or not you want to proceed with it.
Yeah, please don't be calling Benevolence podcast on Cyndy Mondelus-Azevedo.
And the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of people who have made health choices, changes in their lives, and they see results. And they're adamant about it, and so they want everyone to do exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
And the one thing I just want to make sure you guys understand is that maybe it worked for you, and I'm not going to say how long it's going to work, but it worked for you at that time frame. It's maybe not going to work for the person next to you or the third person down their line. So don't feel as if I'm attacking a lifestyle choice that you made.
Exactly.
I'm just coming with information so that everyone can make a decision on whether or not it works for them.
Perfect.
Now, to begin with starvation. No, it's not good to starve yourself. Now, I will say, maybe you will lose some weight. And when I say some weight, a couple of pounds here or there. And it depends on, one, it does depend on your height. It does depend on your sex. Because men do lose weight faster than women. Okay? Taller people lose weight faster than shorter people.
Okay.
You know, so all these things do influence how much weight you lose. However, starvation, you have to look at it from the viewpoint of, I'm losing weight, but am I adding years to my life?
Exactly.
Because what you're doing is you're depriving your body of essential nutrients that your body cannot make for itself by cutting out that meal. And so, for example, if you're supposed to be getting, let's say, 15 grams of iron in a day, but you cut out a meal, so that now, or milligrams, I should say. And so now you're only getting 12 milligrams of iron a day. So basically you're pushing yourself into anemia.
Wow.
Or having low blood iron because you're trying to skip that meal and lose weight. So it's one thing where, okay, maybe I see some weight loss, but you're not seeing the underlying, things that may harm your health.
Exactly.
So it's like, what exactly are you gaining? And then it comes to a point where your body actually stops, losing weight because it's starving and it's trying to hold on to whatever fuel that you put on. And so you find yourself not losing weight. Exactly. So it's like, okay, I stopped eating, I cut out this extra meal. Why am I not losing? Because your body's trying to save itself. So starvation is not the way to go, especially when it's putting yourself at risk, nutrient wise. And then overall the effects it's not worth it, basically. You're like, maybe you may lose a couple pounds here or there, but definitely it's not something that you can do that's lasting. Exactly. And then you put yourself at health risk with other things, such as, like I said, anemia, or you lose calcium from your bones, and then you put yourself in osteopenia, and all these things that come about because you wanted to starve yourself, basically.
Wow, that's good. All right. The second misconception: if I work out, I can eat whatever I want.
And I want to put that as the same level as, oh, I'm pregnant, so I can eat whatever I want. No. No. It is not wise to take on an idea or concept that, oh, well, I'm going to hit the gym anyway, so let me down this box of pizza and soda, and I'll just work it off. No, you're actually not helping your body retrieve the actual nutrients it needs for the fuel to generate in order to maintain this active lifestyle in the gym. And all you're doing is introducing these fats and these cholesterols that are clogging up your arteries. I mean, it's possible to be a runner and have a heart attack.
Yes.
Those are things that are possible. And then on top of that, you have to consider genetic disposition, like whether or not heart disease does actually run your family and things of that nature. So it's like you're kind of playing Russian roulette, in a sense. So it's not a good idea to eat whatever you want because that in itself is, kind of... you're almost like you're a revolving door. You're just walking in and out, and you're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
You're just going in a revolving door. So it's diet and exercise. Healthy diet, healthy exercise pattern.
That's good. Thanks, Cyndy. The next one, you should never cheat on a diet.
And I will say that people who want to promote this strict diet always find themselves blowing it and doing worse.
Okay.
It's about balance. And so you really shouldn't call it, you really don't want to say cheat because, you know, that's what these health gurus call it, you know, oh, cheat day. And, you know, I use the terminology itself. But I do think that we should all consider balance, you know, and it's not a bad idea to have a cookie.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a bad idea if you wanted, you know, a frozen treat like some ice cream. No, it's not a bad idea. The bad idea is the amount you're having. So it's a difference for one cookie as opposed to the entire bag of Chips Ahoy, you know, or whatever cookie brand that you may like, you know,
for sure.
So it's one of those things where, and it should not be tied to guilt.
Okay.
So, I mean, you want to eat food to enjoy, you know, like it's there for your enjoyment. But it should not be to the abuse.
Exactly.
So what I find is that a lot of people do know what they should and should not eat or what the quantity should be. It's just discipline, whether or not they want to instill discipline. Exactly. So only if you are with a health condition that you cannot have a certain food. Obviously, you follow that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but I do believe that you want to make sure that you don't put yourself in a situation where it's a restrictive diet, especially when it's not you don't need to be so restrictive. And what I mean, it's not that you have an allergy towards a certain food, or you know, your levels are so imbalanced that eating certain types of food, you know, causes it to go out of whack. No. But, you know, you want to be mindful that it's okay. And not to have that guilt attached to it.
That's good. That's good. The next one. This is a big one. Cleanses and detoxes are a good way to jumpstart a diet.
And I will say to that, there's a lot of research and investigation that does not support people from relying solely on a detox or a cleanse. Especially, for example, a cleanse that's supposed to rid your body of all fat, you know, and things of that nature. There are certain vitamins that your body needs fat in order to be absorbed. Yeah, your body, or certain minerals that that need to be in combination with this certain mineral, and the only or a vitamin, and the only way that it effectively works is if there's the presence of, like I said, fat. Yeah. So if you're cleansing and trying to get basically the fat out, then you are eliminating your body's ability to absorb certain nutrients, which then would trigger later on health issues. Wow. And so it is not the best to, solely rely on a detox or a cleanse. For me, when I see the recipes to it, I'm like, oh, that's a cool drink. I'll have that with my steak and, potato. Because I just see it as like, oh, you have a refreshing mint and lime, but for someone, if that's all they're going to consume, then you're putting yourself at a health risk.
Okay, that's good to know. Because I remember many years ago, that was the thing. You saw it on the internet, so you thought it would be the right thing to do. And then I remember trying to do, or at least attempting, the Ally pills, because I know that that's something that really takes out the grease. But that's good to know, because I don't know. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know what we're doing.
there are vitamins and certain minerals that need the presence of the vitamin. But if you're removing fat from your body, then you're not allowing that vitamin to be absorbed. Exactly. So
that makes sense.
A lot of health issues that can generate from that. Okay. So you want to be careful with that.
That's good. All right. The next one is, a diet that works for one person should work just as well for others.
And I will have to politely disagree with that, because even twins are not born 100 exactly the same. Yes. everyone's metabolic, function differs in some way. So something that worked for one person, maybe even two, may not work for person 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And so that includes just getting to know your body and what works for you. And so a lot of people don't take that into consideration, that it's just getting to know what really works for you, like listening to your body and really seeing what works for you. And so, for example, I have no problem with dairy or cow's milk. Neither my husband, we have no problem with it. But for other people, they may have an issue digesting, whether it be the lactose sugar that's found in there, or a certain protein that's found in the milk itself. And so for other people, it may cause issue. But because it caused issue to you, and you removed it from your diet, and you saw things happen, and the sun is shining, and roses are smelling better, and no, you have to try it. Okay, it worked for you, but it's fine for me.
Exactly.
So it's just knowing your body. And so with dieting and exercise, I'll be honest, the reason why there's so many things out there is because there's just so many people.
Exactly.
And there's so many different combinations that work for people. So no, there's not a magic bullet when it comes to diet and exercise. There is no magic bullet. There's not one thing that you can do other than try to change.
That's good.
And starting from there, changing. To what? We'll find out. But at least there's a change.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of leads to the next one, because the next misconception is like avoiding gluten and dairy will definitely help you lose weight. And I can tell you from experience, because like I love milk, but I can't drink milk. I love cheese, but I try not to go ham on that, because I get upset stomach, and even the ice cream sometimes it just does not settle well.
Exactly.
I'm not diagnosed as a lactose intolerant, but I've noticed that the dairy for me, it just causes just an upset.
A lot of
So what can you say about gluten and dairy?
Right. So for example, and even if that's something that you want to talk to your doctor about to see whether or not, if it's not lactose intolerant, is it the A1 protein that's found in dairy, or can we do an investigation so that I can better understand what's going on with my body. And that goes on the same with gluten. There are some people, certain diseases that they cannot digest gluten well, and the reason why you lose weight is because you remove that caloric value. Okay. Yeah, you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
So, if it's 1%, 2%, or regular whole milk, there's a percentage of fat found with that milk. So if you remove that milk, say for instance, that was something you drank all the time, you removed it to replace it with soy or almond, which is a lower percentage, of course you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
Because you remove that caloric value. But because you have an issue with that protein or that sugar, it doesn't mean that everybody else is going to have that same problem.
Yeah.
There are people groups who they're not around dairy, and so they have issues with dairy. But other people groups that's all dairy was just been there since the time started for that people group, and they don't have issues with dairy.
Okay.
Are you going to tell those people to stop drinking dairy or eating dairy because we found that this people group are thriving without dairy? No. So that's once again coming back to understanding and knowing yourself. And that goes the same with like gluten or whatever certain proteins or sugars that certain people just cannot digest or it doesn't do well with them. So getting to know your body, listening to those symptoms and thinking, this isn't right, and just trying what works best for you. So, for example, some people can become lactose intolerant, like they weren't when they were younger, and then something, whether it be age or an event that causes them to not be able to digest that sugar. Listen to your body. All of a sudden now it's not doing well with you. Okay, so let's try an alternative. So
that's good. That's good to know. And then my final misconception, and this one I have a lot of experience in. Juices and shakes are a good replacement for meals, and I say that because, like I said before earlier, in the introduction, I had done Herbalife, I had done Shakeology, I had done Slim Fast when I was very, very young. And I even, the whole tea diet and all of that, you're replacing things with these juices and these shakes. They're good for replacing meals. I remember when I did the Slim Fast, oh, Jesus, I was starving my butt off. Starving. That little can of that chocolate milk type shake didn't do anything. I did lose the weight, but I was starving. I was not living the best life during that time. And I remember, when I did Herbalife, I was gagging with every gulp of that shake. I was gagging. And everybody's there, when Herbalife was the thing. Everybody was like, Herbalife, and they're drinking it in one gulp, and like they were like die-hard Herbalife people, but I had to like pinch my nose and gulp it. And I remember my family, Anthony, because it was during the beginning years of Anthony, and my parents, they're eating, the veggies, and they're just eating normal foods, and I'm here on the dinner table with my tall cup of shake, and I was miserable. So what can you say about that misconception? Juices and shakes are a good replacement for meals.
What I will say to that is, just to piggyback a little bit, when basically you're skipping a meal, as you said, yes, you are starving yourself.
So if you are drinking a shake for lunch, but you're not eating lunch, you're replacing a meal. Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And you are starving yourself. See, this is where the misconception is that because these drinks and these shakes, what have you, they promote, you'll have the same amount of vitamins, the same amount of or reduced calories. You'll feel great. You'll get boost of energy, and what you don't realize is that you're putting your body in distress because it's trying to figure out where's the food, Yeah. Food is so much more than just the vitamins. There are phytochemicals that don't exist in a lot of these shakes. There are other factors, other elements that are found within food that these shakes will not provide. 1, 2, there are certain minerals, certain vitamins that can only be digested by us well if it comes from the actual source. And so, for example, we don't digest or take and metabolize calcium from an animal or from a plant as well from an animal. So like we actually need some of the animal fat, some of the animal protein to actually get these nutrients. You only find, for example, B12 in meat, in animals. Okay. And you need that for your blood development. And so when you cut that out, but then you say it's in a pill form, unfortunately it's not as bioavailable or ready to digest as it is from the actual source. Wow. And so you put yourself and your body at harm because the availability of these nutrients have decreased so much. And so that's why it's one of those a lot of experts, a lot of nutritionists, a lot of those who are well aware try to encourage not to use the meal replacements solely because you put yourself in starvation mode, and you limit yourself from having the full gamut of nutrition that solid food provides.
That's good. That's so good. Oh, well, I'm glad you said that. Cyndy, I have one more question for you, and this is to answer Anthony's question, because his question yesterday or the day before was, why, like, some people have faster metabolisms than others. Like, for example, his brother, which is the one right after him, is very, very skinny. Very skinny, fit, skinny, very tall. And he can eat anything. And it's just like 1, 2, 3, he's done. Like, his metabolism is good. He doesn't gain weight. But then Anthony, on the other hand, he's the bigger brother. And like anything that he eats, it takes forever. You know what I mean? So he wants to know, why do people have different metabolisms and how does that happen? Especially hereditary. It's his brother. So he's looking at his brother. He's like, yo, you can eat like a whole cake on your own. You're good. You don't gain anything. But if I eat a cake, I'm doomed. So can you explain that?
As simple as I can, one of the things you want to consider is muscle mass. So it depends. A lot of times it depends on the muscle mass of the person. Even in my family, I'm the muscular one. Okay. We all, same father, same mother, but I was the one that had the more muscle mass. And so I do burn things quicker than my sisters who are, regular body build, and they gain weight faster than I. It took them a little bit longer for them to lose, maternity weight than I did. One of those things, it does come down to muscle mass. And so for some people, they really have to incorporate weightlifting as opposed to others, just to build that muscle mass, because your muscles do help utilize energy so it doesn't turn into that stored cell, which we like to know is bad.
So if you have a slower metabolism, you should lift weights.
You definitely want to incorporate weightlifting. Yeah. My
childhood best friend, and if she's listening to this podcast, Julie, I love you, girl, and I'm so proud of you. My childhood best friend, she lost, I don't even know, and don't quote me on this, Julie, but it was like over 100 pounds, I think it was almost 200 pounds. She did the gastric bypass. But I remember on her journey, she was always lifting weights. And I'm like, she looks amazing. Like, the Julie that I knew growing up is definitely not the Julie. It's the same girl, you know what I mean? But she looks amazing. And I know that, the surgery and all of that, it helped. And the lifestyle change that she had to do also. But I saw her constantly lifting weights. And I'm like, what is she doing? Because doesn't lifting weights make you gain weight? That's another common misconception that people think.
Density.
Okay.
Density. So yes, you someone who has more muscle weight is more dense than a person who does not have as much muscle weight. But size-wise, you are smaller than the person.
Okay.
So, for example, if I
you can use me as an example.
No,
it's
I'm
okay.
going to compare my. No,
okay,
not even because I want you to get the idea.
Okay.
So, for example, someone I don't even know, like someone who I think right now I'm about 116, 117, and you see my body build. We can use a skinnier person, same weight, but they don't look as thick as me because they don't have the muscle.
And I know exactly.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So yeah, and I look heavier. I may even feel heavier, but we weigh the same.
Okay.
Because of the muscle. So definitely, it is Anthony's brother have a little bit more muscle mass.
He has a little bit of muscle.
So that does play
He's
a
probably
part.
cursing me out. He's probably saying, Ceci, you know I got muscle.
I'm cut.
He's gonna listen to us and die.
No, but that among other things, but that is one thing that does help a whole lot.
Okay,
is muscle mass.
So because he has muscle, he is able to burn the fat faster.
Exactly,
and because
that energy.
Okay,
yes.
So that's why it's important for us who, and I include myself, who don't have muscle. It's good to lift weights.
It is.
And do cardio, right? Of course. And we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But also
incorporate weightlifting because
so they can suck up
you're utilizing more energy. You're getting those energy stores out to produce, the strength that you need in order to lift those weights. And it helps a whole lot more, as opposed to someone who has a lower metabolism. Yeah, they're trying to cut out the unnecessary food, but they still don't see the great difference that they're looking for. It's balance, that diet and that exercise.
Makes
so
sense.
muscle mass does influence your ability to burn fat or burn energy or with your metabolism.
That's really good. Okay. Yes. Okay. So we're done with our misconceptions.
Okay.
So I wanted to quickly point out, what are your thoughts on apple cider vinegar and the Garcinia Cambodia pills that have been, they're all over the place. So what do you think about those things?
Well, first let's talk about dieting, because those things are in dieting. Okay. What's a diet? Basically, a diet is what you eat, how you prepare it, that is a diet. Now, the action of dieting, the way we know it in, basically in Western world, is the limitations or restrictions or special foods that you're supposed to eat in order to lose and maintain a certain weight. Okay. There are different types of diets that are out there. General diets will, even go according to region. So, we have the American diet, we have the Mediterranean diet, we have, and then what we would consider fad diets, which would be, for example, paleo diet. We have the keto diet and the Whole30 and the cabbage soup, and there's just the grapefruit juice diet, and there's just so many different, and they're considered fad diets. The reason why they're called fad diets is because they have a short lifespan. They can only go for so long. Okay. You do see immediate results, but they're never long lasting. Okay. Because the diet in itself is too restrictive. You can't maintain it, and then a lot of times they have health backfires or adverse reactions.
Wow. And that includes keto.
Yes, that includes keto. Recently, there's a study released that there's something called the keto crotch.
What is that?
Basically, I laugh too. Especially in women, is that you can smell their cootie.
No.
Yeah.
Because they're doing
the keto. So not only you have to worry about bad breath, you have to worry about smelly coochie. So you smell somebody fishy. You smell fish. You're like, you doing keto?
Yo, are you serious?
So more and more people are reporting a smell.
A body
No,
odor.
they're calling it the keto crotch.
That is hilarious.
Yes, it is, girl.
Oh, Lord.
I laughed.
Oh, no.
Loud.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but yeah, it was funny.
No, I laugh loud too, because that's hilarious. Wow. Okay, so we do the general diets. So for example, my parents, maybe about 2 years ago, my mom did a diet that was specifically for her, but of course she shared it with all of us. But it entailed like garbanzo soup, quinoa. I always say that word wrong. Quinoa, whatever. Quinoa. It was like a tea. It was just a whole bunch of things. And my mom and my dad, they lost a lot of weight, and they were doing the exercise. I did the diet. I don't know why I'm calling it a diet, but it is a diet.
It's a diet. Yeah.
So I did it, and I started to feel bored of eating the same things every single day. So I did lose a little bit of weight, but then I stopped because I was sick and tired of eating just raw beans. It's not raw, but it's like just beans, and just eating the quinoa, and just the texture would make me gag. And then it was like spinach, like the leaves, spinach leaves, and you had to use this light salad. I'm like,
the salad dressing?
Yeah.
So that's where the fat came in.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't live like this. I can't. And it was like a garbanzo soup with chicken and peppers, and I know how to make it. I can make it right now and it'll be banging. but eating that on
every
a daily
day?
basis.
Yeah.
My parents are very disciplined. They've been dieting all my life. All my life. Finally something works for them. I tried it. But I don't know what to do, because just the constant repetition of food on a daily basis, it drives me insane.
Right. Well,
so
it worked for you.
Exactly. So, what should be in my diet?
Okay. Okay. So there is this movement that is going extreme, like plant-based.
Oh yes, the organic.
Yeah, and all that. But my thing is, as nutritionists and health specialists, we've all been talking about plant-based. If you look at what we now use as my plate, half of the plate is supposed to go to plants, and then on top of that, a lot of plant derivatives. And so you do have bread, you do have flour. Those are from plants. Those are plant foods. And so we've always talked about plant-based. Yeah. It's just now someone put a name to it and made a couple of bucks. But we've always talked about plant-based. Your fruits and vegetables, like your whole grains. That's always been a part of our, a plan for a healthy diet. Unfortunately, and, pointing out the American diet, the recent survey, or not too long ago, looking at the American diet, about 60% or more of a typical American food does not include fruit or vegetables.
Wow.
And about 21% does go to grains, but it's usually refined.
Yes.
And so and of course we have our meat. We have meat.
Yes.
But we don't choose the leaner cuts. We're always getting the fat.
Fat.
People don't want to remove the skin off the chicken. They want that crispy flavor that it gives. And I'm not saying you don't do it, but there should be a balance.
Yes, for
sure. So, I can use Christianese. I can throw in a couple of Christian things here.
Go ahead. Absolutely.
Well, if we remember the fruit of the Spirit, one of the fruit or aspects of this fruit is self-discipline,
self-control, for sure.
I feel if you are able to have that under your belt, then you would take care of most of your health issues. If we practice self-control.
That's good.
And we don't realize that, even as we're people of God, and we know that this is a temple of the Lord, and
yes,
but we try to be Christian about everything else except for the food we eat.
That's good.
And how we take care of ourselves. Everything else is Christian, I don't sleep around, I don't smoke, but give me that Twinkie, And it's like, man, if we applied our biblical standards to how we ate, a lot of our health issues would not be so prevalent. Wow. So I do believe one of the first things is discipline, getting it, and that comes from the heart, and that transfer to the mind, and then after that, I really take a look at what you're eating, like really take a look at what you're eating. You know how to eat healthy. I know you know how to eat healthy. If you know how to read, you know how to eat healthy, because it's everywhere.
Exactly.
It's whether or not you want to do it or not, whether you want to invest the time, to eat healthy or not. It's easier to go through a drive-through as opposed to cooking at home. It's easier to do certain things, but at what cost? Is it the cost of your health?
Exactly.
And so, and it's the little things. It really is the little things. So discipline, getting your heart, which transfers to your mind, and then looking at the little things. For example, let's consider, let's consider things like juice or soda. If you were to cut your soda intake, for not say that you drink, but if you were to cut your soda intake to like 1 day a week, not doing anything, just cut it to 1 day a week, you would be surprised of how much weight you lose just by doing that.
I know. And that's, Cynthia, if we're going to be real, hey, you need that weight back. That is my struggle. The soda.
If you just think.
I am obsessed.
Just think.
With Pepsi.
Just think.
I know.
You know, it's so funny. I used to be too. That was my drink. But then I started to run. I started to run. Mm-hmm. And there's this thing, a lot of people who run or do exercise, especially when they first start, and it's a lot of times what stops people from exercising, they have this thing called lactic acid build.
Okay.
Where you're breaking down basically the sugars in your body, mm-hmm. and it turns into lactate. Or lactic acid, and it gets to the surface of your skin, so you start itching.
Oh,
and it's red.
Oh, that's me all the time.
You don't want to go through that, so you stop.
Ooh,
you have to work past that.
Oh, okay.
Me personally, and that's
because it happens every time.
But it goes away eventually.
Yeah, it does.
So when you work past it, it goes away. Then your body's getting used to using the lactic acid and not having its pool around your skin. But once you get past that, you're able to sustain your workout. For me, I noticed that if I cut out, unnecessary mm-hmm. sugars, and so the first thing was the soda, I noticed that it didn't affect me as much. Mm-hmm. Even now I'm starting to work out back again, and I had the little lactic itch, mm-hmm. but it didn't affect me mm-hmm. as much as it did when I was drinking soda.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the second time that I went for a run, it was a little itch, but it wasn't that bad.
Oof.
Because I didn't have mm-hmm. that extra sugar that,
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's what worked for me, and maybe something to consider. But, that, so it's just those little things. If you were just to cut it back, there's this informational board that I have in my office, and it breaks down. Basically, there's about, 10 bags of sugar in a can of soda, a 12-ounce can. There's those little, Dixie bag. Mm-hmm. There's about 10 of them.
Oh my God.
If you were to cut back your soda drinking just by one, so for example, if you're a type of person that drinks 3 cans of soda, if you were to cut it back by 1 to just down to 2, you would lose anywhere between 10 and 15 pounds in a year. Wow. Now, it sounds a lot, but in a year, just by cutting back 1 soda, mm-hmm. And so just imagine how much more weight if you cut back just to that one. More. And then bring it down to once a week. Mm-hmm. So it's those little things. No, you don't necessarily have to have salad dressing with your salad. Yeah. Just those little things people don't realize make a huge difference. Using the example, my husband and I, when we first met, we fasted for 3 weeks to see whether or not it was the Lord's will for us to be married.
Oh, wow. That's a whole nother story. I'll bring you back.
Right. I asked him, Jackson, for this fast. I asked him because I knew he had an addiction. I said, could you let go of the juice and soda? And he started to shake.
Oof. That was... Oof.
But he complied. In 3 weeks, with just cutting the soda and the juice, he lost around 8 to 10 pounds.
Wow. And he's already thin as it is. He's a thin dude.
So imagine.
Yeah.
And that was just soda and juice.
Wow.
I didn't say anything else. He could have had eating cookies, candies, whatever. But just cut back the soda and juice as a fast.
Wow, that's crazy.
So just those little things. Right. Me personally, I'm trying to make sure that I'm eating some form of produce every day. Whether it be fruit and a vegetable, or one day it's just fruit, but I'm having some type of produce. Yeah. Because we don't eat enough produce. We don't eat enough carrots. We don't eat enough, asparagus. We don't eat enough fruit. And be surprised. There are people who just don't eat fruit.
Yep.
True. And so, and we need these things. That's the plant-based diet that, we've been trying to promote for so long. Get your fruits and vegetables, So, and your whole grains. Yeah, that's so, they make a difference. You have your iron from there. You get your fiber, which a lot of times in America, we don't get enough fiber. Yeah. So, and of course, there are some people, once again, if you have a health issue where you cannot use fiber, okay, fine. But that's not everybody. Exactly. And so that's, once again, knowing your body. Okay, you can't do fiber, but I can. Yeah. You can't do gluten, but I can. But I'm going to make sure it's in the form of a whole grain.
Exactly.
So.
That's good. So Can you explain where do we begin? I know that you said it takes discipline, it takes your mindset, it takes cutting certain things like Pepsi, and then you have a 5 a day. What is that?
Yeah, like
what does that mean? 5 a day.
Just trying your best to get at least 2 pieces of fruit and 3 vegetables in your diet.
Okay.
At least 2, and that one of the fruit can be a cup of juice.
Okay.
But that's usually the recommendation, just 1 cup of juice. We would prefer that you eat your fruit as opposed to drinking it.
Okay.
My motivation, and I'll be honest, my motivation is I look at my parents, I look at my grandparents, and I see their health issues. And I say to myself, I don't want to be 62 years old and in that condition. I don't want to be 80 and in that if I can help it.
Yeah.
So, I've sat and I've asked, well, what did you do, when you were young? It's just... None talked about being physically active, although they did walk, but not necessarily like intentional physical activity, I was having a conversation one time with my dad, and I said, you know what, Poppy, in all the years that I've lived with you and I've seen you eat, I've never seen you eat a vegetable. Oh yes, because I don't like that stuff. And he has heart disease.
Wow.
So it's learning from their mistakes and seeing their health issues and saying, you know what, I really don't want to be like that. So by, the knowledge that God allows us to acquire, the ability to make these changes, I want to do that so that when I'm 70, when I'm 80, I'm not suffering from something that really could have been prevented. If I just want to make sure that I did everything on my part. If something still happens, okay, that's because the Lord is going to use it for His glory. But I'm going to do what I can to make sure that that is not my story 40, 50 years from now.
Yeah, that's good, Cyndy. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is exercise. So where do we begin with that? How do we start?
I remember one time I'm revealing my age. This is when Oprah was on. Oprah's on. And she had stories, inspirational stories, and she had this one person. They showed the before and after, and she said, "You know what, Oprah? It took 1 step. She just started walking." And she made sure that she did a certain amount of time. I don't even think she considered distance. She just wanted time. Make sure that I do this every day for a certain amount of time. And she was consistent, and she made sure that it was every day. And she lost, I would say, maybe 150 pounds.
Wow.
Walking.
Yeah.
Because as she started to lose the weight, she knows she can go further in the same amount of time.
That's good.
And then the walking became running. And then adding maybe hand weights. You see, so it evolved, but just taking that 1 step. Some people don't flourish in the gym. That's okay. You don't have to go to the gym. Some people do really well with at-home exercise videos. I'll be honest, I can't.
I can't do that.
I need the assistance of someone. So I actually do better with a personal trainer. And at one time, I did have a personal trainer. I'll tell you the reason why later. I just want to let you know, guys, Colombian food is really good. And I had a lot of it when I lived in Colombia. So I'm going to just leave it at that. My jeans were kind of tight.
You're so funny.
So, so I was like, I definitely knew that, okay, I wanted to, get in shape, what have you. So I work better with a personal trainer or someone who's, with me. So some people do better with a workout partner. That this just goes back to knowing who you are and what you're willing and able to do. Yeah. Also, it's one of those things where as females, we need to let go of that idea of being bulky. We don't want muscles because it's going to make us turn into a man. And That's so far from the truth. Just because you pick up weight does not automatically make you're going to turn into an X-woman or something like, like X-Men. No, but what you will see is that it benefits your heart to lift weights. It benefits your bones to lift weights and overall quality of life. And so we, as women, we need to consider that when considering exercise, because a lot of women, we only do cardio, but we don't do enough of weightlifting, right? And definitely, it is your pace, your body, your health. Unfortunately, social media can be, a little bit depressing, a little bit intimidating. It's some of the posts that are out there, they can be motivational, but for some people, it's just so intimidating, so don't rely on the results and appearances on social media to be like your ultimate standard, because you don't know what that person did or is doing behind off that camera, and a lot of times these things are, you see the muscles and stuff, a lot of times they're prosthetic. We do have people who add things to their body to make it look like they're muscular. Or they take these injections and stuff. So don't believe the hype. But if you see these people and use them as motivation, good, but don't use it as to become depressed. And not and think to yourself, "Oh, I'll never be that way." Well, you know what? No, you won't. But you'll be you.
Exactly. That's good, Cyndy. Any last recommendations or encouraging or words of encouragement for our listeners?
We were made and created to glorify God. That includes our bodies. Our bodies were made to glorify God. And what better way to give thanks to God by taking care? And yes, there are certain things that we can't avoid. There are certain, but even just the little things that is within our responsibility and ability to do, then go ahead and do it. I'm not about restriction. I'm not about, no, you can't do that, or no, you can't do this. And nor am I about blanketing this one way and that's for everybody. But I am about taking consideration of where you want to see yourself 10, 20, 30 years from now, and what will it take for you to reach that goal. And with that, how am I treating my body? It's so sad. Was it today, Luke Perry?
Yeah, today.
At 52?
Yeah.
From a stroke?
From a stroke.
What happened?
I don't know.
Let me take care of the things that I know I can take care of. So that when the autopsy report is read, it's because she did this. Or she wasn't doing that. Yeah. That's what caused it. Yeah. She wasn't doing this. She was doing
good. That's good.
So, let it be something where it was genetic or it's out of control. But if I can live past 60, past 70, and in reasonable health, being able to walk and talk without the assistance of, apparatuses, or I'm not on pills and injections. If I could just, be healthy for as long as I can, that's what I'm trying to do.
That's good. Well, there you have it. Cyndy, thank you so much for joining me at the table today.
A blessing.
Your knowledge and expertise has definitely blessed my life. I see, the lights at the end of this dark, narrow, long tunnel. And I know that a lot of our listeners, they're motivated, they're ready to start just doing a big lifestyle change. It's not even about, let's not call it diet. Let's call it a lifestyle change.
Exactly.
So it's changing the mindset for sure.
And I just want to point out, I didn't have a list of things for you to do. Because once again, I don't know if that's going to work for you.
Exactly.
But I want to encourage you, talk to your doctor. Know your vitals. Get the blood work done to see where you are. Know what your blood pressure is. Know all of these numbers. And then from there, move forward into, okay, this is what I need to do to cut cut my risk of dying down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's good. So if you have any specific questions about diet or exercise and would like to ask Cyndy personally, you can always email her at
cmondelu@gmail.com. That's cmondelu @gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you all for tuning into Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Benevolence Podcast or at I am Ceci Diaz to know a little bit more about me and Benevolence. Benevolence Podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, and the Stitcher app. And finally, if there is a topic that you would like to discuss in the future, please do not hesitate to email me at benevolencepodcast@gmail.com with requests, petitions, or comments. I want to hear from you. And stay tuned for next Monday's episode of Benevolence. You don't want to miss it. Bye!
Bye!